And the big conversation is Giannis and where he should go in the trade. I thought it was only a couple teams that wanted him. The trade could turn out to be a disaster. I don't know, maybe they should trade him, but he getting old, and whoever trade for him, I wouldn't give up a lot of young players for a old Giannis. Only way I'd trade him if it was guaranteed that we was gonna get something worth it. Because giving up all your young players for an old guy in his 30s that's constantly having calf problems, I don't know. I heard Golden State wants to trade for him, and maybe they want to make one last run before Steph Curry is done. But I keep waiting for this Golden State to return back to the old Golden State of losers. And this Giannis trade might get them 2 more years until that day. But if they can't get Giannis, I don't know. Maybe you let Steph go somewhere and try to win him another championship. The best trade, if you look on my page, is the one I think would be the him to New York, send Karl Anthony Towns to Atlanta Hawks, and Milwaukee get a bunch of picks. You know, they get the Milwaukee would get the Pelicans pick, and the Pelicans got a really low pick right now. You might can win the lottery with that pick. And if I won the lottery, I'd probably take AJ DeBanster. He seems like somebody who got potential in the NBA, even though watching his game, it seems like he's one-handed. When the dude from Kansas, I see him taking people right and left. But either which one of those guys would be something for Milwaukee to build with. It is time for Giannis to go. I just feel bad for whoever takes him. Because you, at this point, 31, calf injuries. Ask Kevin Durant about those calf injuries. That can quickly become something else, especially for somebody old. And 31 ain't old in the real world, but 31 is old in the NBA. Steph Curry is old. I had to say it. He's almost 40, but for what he do, he still got a couple years where he could just be a set shot person. You know, the guy who just stands in the corner and hits the shot, because shooting never die. There's always going to be somebody who can shoot the basketball. There's a place for that. Let me see who else. Toronto wants Giannis. Toronto's an international city. And Giannis, like I said, my problem with the Giannis trade is not what Milwaukee's getting back. It's, are you willing to take on a person who has calf injuries that keep recurring, and he's 31? The last thing you need really is to bring Giannis in and he gets hurt on you and he's out for the season. If I was an owner, I would fire my general manager immediately for that. What y'all think? Hit up in the comments. Tell me what y'all think about Giannis and the trade and where you want to see him go. Somebody that's ready to win right now, the New York Knicks. That's where I think he should go. He'd be embraced in New York. And if he hurt himself and couldn't play, that's about the Knicks' luck. Who really had the Knicks to win the championship on their bingo card? And Karl Anthony Towns, you know, to Atlanta. Atlanta's always stuck in mediocrity anyways. And some of the stuff they say about Karl Anthony Towns, he might be happy in Atlanta. But the trade deadline's coming up. I think we're going to see a lot of people move in the NBA. I don't think the trade deadline is just going to pass and it might be time for Zion to leave New Orleans. Atlanta holds their pick, but that new Slim Zion, the new Slim Zions have been balling. I'm sure the Pelicans is getting a lot of calls, and they have a young core now with Jeremiah Fields and Derek Queen. You can build from there, especially if you can get your hands on like a Boozer or Peterson from Kansas probably would be a good fit there. They still have, I can't think of his name right now, but the guy from that they drafted 2 years ago, he's a cold shooter. Anybody in the chat know who I'm talking about? But they still got him over there. They have a real young core, and they got something they could build. So maybe you could let Zion go for some draft picks. The team that's sitting on all the draft picks is the Oklahoma Thunder. So you have the championship team with all the draft picks. Oh, but the Atlanta Hawks draft pick this year, I don't know where it might be. Let's see where the team goes, but San Antonio owns Atlanta's draft pick. So either way it goes, San Antonio will be drafting more talent this year. That's what a young core look like. And if Victor Wembanyama can stay healthy, then San Antonio's back in it again. It's like the San Antonio way is still working even without Popovich. It's kind of like we in the bizarro world. San Antonio's winning again. New England's in a Super Bowl. Talk about that, New England's in the Super Bowl. They brought back Drabble, and now they in the Super Bowl. Last year, they was one of the worst teams, but I guess he brought back the Patriot way, and now New England's in the Super Bowl. My sister used to be a big New England fan, but then when they started losing, over here at KSGSPORTS, we don't like bandwagon fans. So she went from trying to pick another team, which I didn't let her. So as me and her sit here and watch the games and we found out New England was going to the Super Bowl, I was waiting for her to be like, jump back on the New England bandwagon. But she must have seen it in my eyes that I wasn't going for it. What's y'all favorite team? Put it in the chat. Today I did a story on how nobody wants to coach the Arizona Cardinals. I wouldn't either. Well, I probably would for one of those checks, but I wouldn't either. Like the question at quarterback, I know who the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals should be. Should be Malik Willis. It's time for Brissett and Kyler Murray to go. And I thought Kyler Murray would be going to the Raiders, but the Raiders have the #1 pick, and they will be taking Fernando Mendoza and building from there. So who would really want Kyler Murray? Is his NFL career over already? Maybe I should have did a poll on that. Who do y'all think Kyler Murray would be good with? I'm trying to think. Let me see. Who needs a quarterback and would take a chance on Kyler Murray? The Miami Dolphins? I like Ewert. I think they should give Ewert a chance because Ewert consistently beat out Archie Manning, and they tried to say he was a generational talent. So where would be a fit for Kyler Murray? Maybe the CFL. He is a really good baseball player though, so maybe he'll go play for the Oakland. Oh, they ain't in the Las Vegas A's. Pick up his baseball career. I really can't think of a team that needs a quarterback that would bring Kyler Murray in. Let me think of the 32 teams. The Minnesota Vikings. They just fired their GM today. I don't know about their young quarterback. I watched them at Michigan, and he didn't do a lot of throwing. He pretty much gave the ball to Corum, and he was the star of that team. So maybe the Minnesota Vikings and Kyler Murray would be a good marriage. Because when you have the best receiver and he's just getting older and older, you can't really take chances with his career by keep going in and out with the quarterback. I'm going to say it, forget it. I'm going to say it right now. Kyler Murray to the Minnesota Vikings. Kyler Murray to the Minnesota Vikings. He's overstayed his welcome here in Arizona. That's where I'm at right now. I'm in Arizona, and he's overstayed his welcome here. So I'm predicting Kyler Murray to the Minnesota Vikings, Malik Willis as the Arizona Cardinals starting quarterback in 2026. Maybe they can resurrect his career like Sam Darnold. But first, they have to find a coach. Somebody talking in the comments, why you need to see my face? Worry about what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Malik Willis and the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe he can resurrect his career. Especially if LaFleur's brother comes to coach the Cardinals. But I would not coach the Cardinals. Nobody wants the Cardinals' job. People are using the Cardinals' job as just bait to say, hey, I'm interviewing with the Cardinals, but nobody wants that job. The facilities are terrible. The owner's terrible. They don't have a quarterback. They wasting Marvin Harrison Jr.'s career. I would not want that job. I think they got the third pick. But this draft is like no quarterbacks in this draft. I would even be worried of Fernando Mendoza, but I seen him at Indiana, and he made some big throws. A couple of times, when they needed a big throw, I thought to myself, all right, if he can make this throw, maybe he can play in the league. And he made the throw. I don't know about his fit with the Raiders, though, and bringing a guy like him to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a fast city, and he was giving me kind of a Forrest Gump vibe. But for that reason, maybe they can keep him in the facility studying, and we can see what he might become. But I think this draft is not very quarterback friendly. And if I think back, they told us that it would be. But I think it's the first time in history that the NFL's been saturated with quarterbacks. Everybody got somebody that they like. Miami, they need a quarterback. I think the Tua experiment is over. I'm trying to think. The Jets need a quarterback, but Kyler Murray with the Jets. Mm, now that I just said it, it sounds like it could be a thing. Kyler Murray to the Jets could be a thing. What else would they do? Samson from Alabama? But Simpson from Alabama, Kyler Murray. Oh, no, I'll go with the young guy. At this point, Kyler Murray is just stealing money. Legally. Is there such thing as legal? If it's a such thing as legal stealing, then Kyler Murray is stealing money from the Arizona Cardinals. He's probably right now playing Call of Duty, not thinking one thing about football or his future. I seen Michael Vick say one time that when he first came into the league, he was so good that he never would study. But when he got to Philadelphia, after he got out of jail for the dog fighting, he got into the room and with the coaches and studied and learned things, and he became a better player. Less relying on his legs and trusted what he seen. And I don't think Kyler Murray's to the point where he wants to be great yet. Maybe he needs to let the politics of the NFL bully him around to make him really want to be great. But at this point, can you be great at 5'7", playing quarterback? Somebody in the comments talk about they want to see my face. Why you want to worry what I'm looking like? This ain't no beauty contest. We talking about sports. Up late. Don't be over here going through people's live streams looking for something cute. I'm sure it's something cute on there. Get your OnlyFans up. Over here, I'm just talking about sports. I was talking about Giannis and the trade, and only way I would trade for him if I could win the championship in the next 2 years, because you're about to have to pay that man again. I think his contract comes up again, and he'll be 34 years old. And he's going to want about $70 million a year. If you want to be locked into that, then I guess it would be worth it if he won you a championship or two before then, but I don't see it. I think he'd be better for New York than Karl Anthony Towns, though. It's just something about Karl Anthony Towns' game that doesn't say we're going to win the championship with this guy. I'm going to say it. Karl Anthony Towns will never win a championship in the NBA. Maybe when he's really old and sitting on the bench or something, but at this point, I don't see him winning a championship. If they sent him to Atlanta, if they sent him to Milwaukee, if he stays in New York, he's not winning a championship. He likes to stand outside and shoot threes. He needs to be the type of guy that, if he wants to win the championship, that goes and take his championship. To go take a championship, you might have to go inside. You might have to play a little bully ball. I heard Wembanyama say that it scars all over his body. And he shoots too much too, really, but he's so tall at any time he could go in there. But he'll never win a championship until he gets hunger and ready to bully himself to a championship. When you that guy, that's why when some people talk about Curry, and I would not argue with a person if they said Curry was the best player ever, because he really got to play his game and win a bunch of championships playing his game. Anybody else? Well, I guess anybody else I was going to say would have to be assertive, but I guess he's assertive at what he do, shooting that ball. But to win a championship, you got to play with a mean mug. That's like a mean face. And when I watch Karl Anthony Towns' game, he doesn't play mean. He plays nice or cute. Karl Anthony Towns' basketball game is cute. There's nothing about him that just screams, this guy's gonna win the championship. He was nice with Anthony Edwards, but Minnesota didn't think they could win the championship, so they let him go. I heard Minnesota is acquiring about Giannis. I don't know what assets they own. I have to look into that for Giannis, but if I'm Milwaukee, Minnesota ain't got nothing I want for Giannis besides Anthony Edwards. And Giannis and Anthony Edwards would be a good combination, but if Giannis can stay healthy, but I don't see them beating the Oklahoma Thunder. Only teams that have a legitimate chance of beating the Oklahoma Thunder is San Antonio Spurs, Denver Nuggets. And I did my MVP ladder. If you go look up, and I didn't put Jokic in there because he's been hurt this year. And I know he's going to come back, but I don't know if he's going to play enough games to qualify for the MVP. But Denver, with everybody healthy, I can see them beating Oklahoma City. And this Oklahoma City thing is about to go on for a long time. They own a lot of draft picks. They own a lot of teams' draft picks. They own the Clippers' draft pick, and the Clippers are terrible. So Oklahoma City might end up with a top 10 pick just from the Clippers. I don't know. Maybe send Chet Holmgren to Milwaukee. Chet Holmgren and Casey Wallace and some draft picks. So I would go Chet Holmgren, Casey Wallace, and some draft picks for Giannis. Because if Giannis stays healthy, it's a guaranteed championship. But if Giannis got hurt, you got ammunition. There's players sitting on the Oklahoma City Thunder bench that are ready to play. but it just ain't no minutes. There's no minutes for them to play. So if you let Chet, Casey Wallace, and a couple draft picks go, I think they paid Chet already, so it's a way you can match the money up. So I would go Chet, Casey Wallace, and some draft picks. I want the Clippers first rounder this year. I might be willing to send Giannis to Oklahoma for that. Because what Milwaukee need is pieces to build on. And sending Chet to Milwaukee, we get to see who Chet really is. Can he really dominate? Or is he only good when he's next to SGA? What other teams could use Giannis? Because all the teams could use Giannis. Like I said, I think it would be bad to trade for him because he's getting old and calf injuries lead to Achilles injuries. But if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not trading him to just anybody. I'm not trading him to go to state because they don't have nothing I want. I'm not trading him to the Lakers because they don't have nothing I want. Let me see. Another trade piece that's coming up this week. Michael Porter Jr. Watch what I tell you. Michael Porter Jr. is going somewhere. Michael Porter Jr. has been balling in Brooklyn. I know people haven't been paying attention to him, but he's in Brooklyn balling right now and building his trade capital. I could see him in Golden State, Michael Porter Jr. in Golden State. I could see that happening. But I don't know what Golden State got that Brooklyn possibly wants. Let me see. Michael Porter Jr. to Oklahoma Thunder. I don't know if the Oklahoma Thunder has any. Well, I know Oklahoma Thunder has plenty of draft picks. And would I let Michael Porter Jr. go if I could get Chet Holmgren? Chet Holmgren for Michael Porter Jr. You might have to throw Casey Wallace in there too. So I would take Chet Holmgren and Casey Wallace for Michael Porter Jr. And I think Michael Porter Jr. would be nice in Oklahoma City on the fact that SGA likes to get to the basket. And Michael Porter Jr. could space the floor. He's shooting almost 50% from three-point land this year. And Oklahoma City still would be sitting on draft picks. And how would the Denver Nuggets like that if they got to the Western Conference Finals and had to play against Michael Porter Jr. and the Oklahoma City Thunder? I like Chet, but Chet's starting to look like a nice piece to trade to get somebody in there. But you don't need nobody in there. You just won the championship, and it's looking like, well, it was looking like they might win it again this year. But of recently, they've been showing some vulnerability. I can't forget about Houston. I was watching the Game Over podcast, and Rich Paul was making it seem like Fred VanVleet might make it back this season. And even if he doesn't, Houston is a problem. Or should I say, Houston, we got a problem. But I don't think Houston could win the championship. I think they're too young for that. And Kevin Durant can take over games, but what championships did he win without Curry? See, your star, the star on your team, he got to have that dog. And I think Kevin Durant loves basketball more than anything, but he ain't a dog. His killer instinct just ain't there. Because here in Phoenix, he didn't have the killer instinct to just, take him over the top. He said he felt like he was the scapegoat. And with his experience and his talent, his leadership matters. He's just not a leader. He's a baller, though. He's a baller, but he's just not a leader. And that's what Houston's going to need from him to be a leader. And I don't know if that's him. So when Oklahoma City come to town, whether it be in the Western Conference Finals or any time during the playoffs, and they're going to need him to lead, he's just not a leader. I think Houston got assets to get Giannis. What would they have to give up? Shinjin, or however you say his name, he got to go. Who else? I think Houston has some assets that Milwaukee could possibly want for Giannis. And Giannis would be a terror in Houston. But if I was Houston, I'm not trading for Giannis. The oldest thing on our team is Kevin Durant, but we have a very strong young core. And I'm not trading for Giannis. I want to see what we can do with what we got this year. And if Giannis is still in Milwaukee at the end of the year, then we can discuss it. We need to figure out what's going on with his calf, though, before we trade for anything. What other team? Oh, yeah, Toronto. I thought Toronto was going to try to make a move to bring in Anthony Davis. But I don't know. Maybe nobody wants the glass man. But Giannis in Toronto sounds good in theory. But I don't know if him and Scotty Barnes is enough. Scotty Barnes and Giannis. It's not better than the New York thing. Because if Giannis is healthy this season and you let Karl Anthony Towns go, New York is a contender this year, especially with Boston not being in the way. Who else could be in it? Detroit has pieces for Giannis. But giving up those pieces, if Giannis gets hurt, but if Giannis isn't hurt, Detroit could be a problem. So if I was Detroit, I'd look into the Giannis thing. They have some picks and they have some young players. No superstar. They're not giving up nobody with any superstar potential for Giannis. I don't know The Thompson twin, I don't know. Maybe he like his brother. He could be a star too if he had his own team. But if I'm Milwaukee, I don't think Detroit has enough pieces to come get Giannis from us. And if I'm Milwaukee, when Giannis goes, his brother got to go too. That's like if the Lakers trade LeBron at the deadline, which I doubt they'll do because he has a no trade clause, Bronny got to go too. Who else could want Giannis? Miami, but what does Miami got? Is the Rozier? I think the Rozier contract is expiring. But if I'm Milwaukee, I don't want no expiring contracts. No superstar is trying to come to Milwaukee. Milwaukee is not on nobody's top list if Giannis ain't there. And also, if Giannis ain't there, it's time for all the old players to go. Time for Bobby Portis to go. Y'all just picked up Turner from the Pacers. Time for Miles Turner to go. I was feeling the same way about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, what is the next move for the Pittsburgh Steelers? TJ Watt's got to go. We need draft picks. We need young players. And that's why you shouldn't go with Mike McCarthy, because the Steelers ain't in win now mode. They need players. What Mike McCarthy gonna do that the last guy couldn't do? And this is really weird to me, just on the fact that the Steelers usually go with somebody who they can keep around for a while, who they can build with. And the Mike McCarthy days are almost over. And people like Mark McCarthy, it's a renaissance of young coaches in the NFL. Mike McCarthy is what you would call a retread. So why would you bring Mike McCarthy into Pittsburgh in a situation that needs to be real built? I don't know. Maybe one of these nights I'll do a poll and ask, what's better, mediocrity or perennial mediocrity, or losing to build? Cause I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and I'll take 10 wins over being the laughing stock of the whole league. So I'm predicting that Mike McCarthy's only gonna be in Pittsburgh for one season. Then they'll bring in some young guy who can settle in, and maybe they can get 20 years out of him. But it's not a winning position to be in Pittsburgh right now. I don't know why Mike McCarthy took that job, and I also don't know why Pittsburgh hired Mike McCarthy. Clint Kubiak, I don't know, maybe he didn't want the job. I think that's who's going to take the Raiders' job. Just because the Raiders have that #1 pick, and you can get your quarterback and you can build from there. They took Genty last year, and you can build around that. I don't know. If I was a general manager, I always would start with my interior offensive line and build out. or a left tackle, you know, something like that, because we need protection. A left tackle, a guard, a center. If you're gonna run the ball, those are the type of people that's gonna clear the way. And you already spent the pick on Genty, so I don't know. Maybe I would take the left tackle out of Utah and I guess I'm about to say it. I guess I'll bring in Kyler Murray. I don't know. I don't know what the quarterback class is gonna look like 2 years from now. Archie Manning wasn't who they said he was gonna be. And it's kind of late right now, so I can't remember names. But the guy from Moore from Oregon, he stayed in school. I don't know. I guess you just take Mendoza and you let him get sacked and hope it don't break his spirit. But if I was a team like the Raiders, I'm not spending my first pick on somebody I can't protect. And then but I hate not to take him and he become a star, and that's how general managers get fired. By not taking the pick and let somebody else take it and he becomes a star. But general managers also get fired by taking who they think the guy is, and he ends up not being the guy. So I don't think that if you don't take Mendoza at 1 and you the Raiders, and the Jets take him at 2, he's not going to be great with the Jets. He's not going to be great with the Jets, first because they have a defensive coach. The worst thing you can have right now is a defensive coach. Defensive coaches should be defensive coordinators who, without the right offensive coordinator, defensive coaches have it the worst. And if the offensive coordinator does a good job, the next year he's going to a head coaching position. Because in the NFL at this time, people want to see points. People want points, and defensive coaches want to lock things down. Watch. If the Texans don't do something big next season, DeMeco Ryans is gone. You have C.J. Stroud. He's going to be wanting his money soon. And you have to know what you got. And they seem like they make a good team. DeMeco Ryans, C.J. Stroud. But C.J. Stroud can't handle the blitz. And what is a defensive coach going to do about that? That only takes an offensive coordinator, maybe a former quarterbacks coach, to work with him on protections and to have faith in what he sees. I think the number one skill to have as a quarterback in the NFL is to know when to throw the ball away or when to just go down. So I don't know how you teach that. They pay people a lot of money to know how you teach that. And that's what CJ Stroud needs to learn right now. But anyways, thanks for anybody who was watching my stream. I'm gonna start getting on here at night and start talking about sports. And I know it seemed like I was rambling and I'm all over the place, but the moves that teams make are all connected in every sport. It's really the vision of the team, what the general manager sees. And most of the bad teams have bad owners. Thanks for watching my live. Maybe I'll see y'all again. Like and subscribe to my page.